Patrick Murphy. He was a co-owner of Vista D'oro Farms and Winery located in Langley. They started in 2001. On a 10-acre farm, they grow orchard fruits, apples, pears, plums, and cherries, as well as green walnuts, and all are used in the preserves and baking for their farmgate shop, as well as in the stores that you can buy their products at, such as Whole Foods. The winery is a flagship for their D'oro or fortified walnut wine, which uses the walnuts grown on their property along with the wine that they're making. They are also producing a growing selection of other wines now. Please join me in welcoming Patrick Murphy.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you everyone for coming out tonight to, hear what we have to say. Thank you, Rick, for those kind words. It has been fun since 2005, growing our businesses together and watching them evolve over the years. I'll just say a little bit myself. I'm a grad from BCIT back in '83. After '83, I took a job with Ritchie Brothers, heavy equipment auctioneers. After a dozen years of traveling the world and sticking in Romano hotel rooms that all looked the same after a while, I decided it was time for a career change. I was really influenced by the partners at Ritchie's because these were highly successful men, but they're also very independent. And I realized that I really needed to be doing something myself if I wanted to be successful. So it all kind of came together when we bought a horse. This horse took us out to the South Langley area, and we saw these beautiful pastures out there. And myself, my grandfather Ciprianus is from Kaunas, which is just central Lithuania. My great-grandfather Philip Spud Murphy was from County Cork. They all grew up on farms. So as a child, I grew up with these farm stories of 20 sections of land and thrashers, machines, and they really had a big influence on me because I grew up next to Queen's Park in New West, and I thought, wow, I'm in the wrong city and the wrong business. So we decided to buy a farm and put our horse on it, and it was an abandoned dairy farm. It was bought in 1893 from a Scottish homesteader, worked until 1977 until the milk board changed the quota system over to the large tanks. Our farm was boarded up in '77. We bought it in '97. You go in there today and our barn is still standing with breeding charts and calendars dating back to '77. And we looked at it and said, okay, well, what are we going to do with this and how are we going to make a living? And it came down to, okay, we've got a beautiful canvas here because it was all cleared pasture grass, a little forest in the back. We decided to look at, okay, well, let's grow one commodity like carrots, potatoes, corn, and make a living at it, and I'm not going to go back to work. Well, that sounded all like a fairy tale until we talked to farmers and realized that is not today's farming. We were fortunate enough to run into a gentleman with the BC Agriculture named Brent Warner, who gave us the insight of value added. And that really came down to us creating a culinary product that could be resold. So we looked at our farm and realized there was nothing but grass on it, so it was time to convert it and wake it back up. So my wife Lee took a culinary school through Northwest Culinary, and by the way, Lee does apologize, but she's working with the Madame Lescoffiers preparing for Julia Child's 100th birthday party tomorrow night. So she apologizes she's not here. So Lee went to Northwest Culinary, developed her culinary skills, and I went to wine school. I went down to UC Davis, took some courses, and most influentially, we did several trips to Europe, and every time I travel, I love finding some winemakers that are natural winemakers and make very traditional old world style wines. So fast forward, we planted the front 5 acres into vines. We took hardwood cuttings and started all of them ourselves. Today, we're in our 6th year. We got a great crop coming in. Marisol Foch is our main big red, and we also planted aromatic whites. We planted grapes that will ripen in the Fraser Valley. You have to be very realistic. Not all grape varieties will do well here, but plant a grape that will, like Foch, and it will really reward you. Same as the apples, pears, plums, and cherries. We have about 12 different varieties of each one, and I can tell you right now, we do have choices. Pert was talking about sustainability with the land and keeping the land healthy. I mean, that's been our philosophy from the very beginning. We never use any type of systemic sprays, no herbicides or pesticides. But you pick apple trees like Belle de Boschkop, Liberty. These trees are going to grow disease-free, scab-free, big, beautiful, healthy fruit. Now I did plant a couple of Galas and Fujis, and I can tell you right now, they're covered in scab. They are not pretty apples. We cannot sell them as number ones, but for us, we either peel them and put them in the kitchen to jam, or I ferment them into cider. So you do have choices of, as being a farmer, on what products you can use. And I think it's important that, you know, what we do use on our land isn't left in the land for future generations to come across. So fast forwarding again, Vista D'oro, we do 6 culinary jams for each season. So most of the fruit is grown on our farm, and we also buy from other local farmers, including the Krausberry farm. The grapes come in from some from the Okanagan, from our farm this year, and as 2012 coming in from Chef Frederick over at Cezanne Market on Cowichan Valley. The future for Vista D'oro, we've gone through a growth stage similar to what Eric went through, where you chug along, and then you say, now what? And for us, you know, we started doing the farmers markets from 2002 to 2005. We built the demand for some of the products, so we started selling it from the retail, from the store. But then it was like, okay, this is a cottage industry. How do we go to the next step? And the next step for us was, luckily with the Canadian government, through Ag Canada, have a program called the Agricultural Processing Initiative, API. We applied for that, and it helps farmers like us purchase equipment in order to make us more efficient. And it also allows us not only to utilize all the fruit that we grow on our farm, but buy from other farmers that have the same values as us, and also employ other people. So our staff now, we're up to 12 people, some full-time and part-time, and it's really rewarding now. We just got approval today for one of our key pieces. It's a Savage Fire mixer that helps us make the jam. What we need to do is always, you can never stay still, and I think Eric probably knows that the best. You always have to be evolving and looking for new things. And for us, the challenge is growing. Is one thing to make a product, make a good product, but the biggest thing to be sustainable is to move that product into the distribution system and have the cash flow. And you know, I mean, being a real estate farmer, cash flow is really why we get into this business. And you have to figure out where your dollar is coming from at the end of the day. Otherwise, none of this is sustainable at all. From the wine side, we are now, 2007 was our first release of our fortified walnut wine. That is a bit of a real special product for us. It came down to us from Jerome Dudecourt, his great-grandfather, Jean-Baptiste. Again, an old world connection to being a farmer in northern France. We traditionally pick our green walnuts on Bastille Day, soak them in brandy for 12 months. After 12 months, we put it into Kentucky whiskey barrels. We also blend some red wine together, some Foch, Merlot, Cab Franc, and we fortify it with a walnut brandy, and then we age it out for a year in French oak. It's one of those products where it's a very unique product in the sense that it's very labor intensive, it's hand-picked. But for us, the rewards are last month in Shanghai, the International Shanghai Wine Competition, we received a bronze for our product. And that was 1,000 wineries from around the world. Thank you. It just gives us some, you know, saying to us that, you know, as a small farm, you know, our farm is 45 minutes from here. We're right down on the border by White Rock. And, you know, that we can make an impact and we can make decisions along the way. Thank you.